Hello and welcome to Epic BattleCry. This is the place where we cut through the crap to bring you the real deal in the gaming industry today. I'm your host, Tony Grice. With me, as always, Daniel Kaiser, Brent Adams. And we are here on Tuesday, which is the old September 30th.
There you go, being tricky.
It is, isn't it?
There's a little behind the scenes now that it doesn't matter. We record these way fucking
a week
earlier
ahead
than we
of
release
time.
them. Anyway, but we got a good question here from a person's asked us quite a few questions, but honestly, always been good quality questions
from Chuda.
Chuda Koopas,
Ooh.
which I do still maintain. I think Daniel picks these because he likes saying the names.
Yeah,
it's a good
Chuda
name.
Koopas.
So, at Chuda Koopas has asked us on this Tuesday, at EpicBattleX, do you think Destiny's succeeded mainly due to its marketing techniques?
Yes.
And is it a bona fide blockbuster on its own merits?
No.
So, Daniel, do you want to start us off here?
I think the marketing techniques were extremely influential in its launch success. Either that or Bobby Kotick just bought a hell of a lot of copies.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I wouldn't put it past him either. But
He should have rated the copies he bought better.
Yeah, I mean, it got pretty good. I mean, I've seen pretty fair ratings. No one is like, this is the best. I get the sense.
Wait a minute, you mean people are rating the final version of the game much better than they basically said it would be leading up to the game?
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
yeah.
So basically, I get the sense that reviewers really want to like this game, and it's one of those games that's kind of hard because, you know, they keep releasing content, they keep doing stuff. It's a long endeavor. It's not an encapsulated experience that you just say soup to nuts, this is what it was and this is what I thought of it. And there's a lot of moving parts with Destiny, so it's really kind of hard to put your finger on. I mean, a lot of kind of what I've been reading and hearing is like, it's a good investment because it'll ultimately pay off. And unfortunately, that's like the state of gaming today, of like AAA gaming today. It's like games come out and they promise you a lot, and then you kind of drink the Kool-Aid and do what you need to do to, you know, is it a good game? Yes. I mean, what I've played of, you know, in the beta and what I've played of the game and you know, experience has been good. It's a good shooter. It's not a bad game, but is it like the next big thing? Is it a bona fide blockbuster on its own merits, as Chuda Koopa asks? I think the unfortunate truth of the answer is that only time will tell, because in this single isolated game, I think it's a good core game that the onus is on Bungie to continue to, you know, foster it and grow it and keep it compelling. What I've heard of the story is blah. It's a, you know, typical, like, it's not like a compelling story. It's, you know, you don't even know what's happening half the damn time.
And vague.
Generic and vague.
Is the criticism that a lot of people are leveling.
Right. So, like, that's a huge component of a big game like this. But ultimately, you know, doing things with your friends is fun. And this is the game. And in a lot of ways, it does prove how marketing muscle and hype will influence something. You know, if this was a game that came out by somebody other than Bungie and was just dropped on us and we didn't know much about it and it was just on the store shelves, does the core game survive, and is it something that people start buzzing about because it's an actual good game? I think the buzz was in place before the game, and the game is trying to live up to the buzz as opposed to the game being good and creating the buzz.
Okay.
What do you think, Brent?
I think I pretty much agree with DK. I mean, if you read the reaction to this game, and Lauren and I talked about it, he's finished it at this point, and he talked about it for an ungodly amount of time on the Axe Factor yesterday while I was doing something else. Anyway, the point is that when I listened back to that recording, what he had to say was that he felt like it was repetitive, that it kind of got kind of boring quick. Well, I won't say quick. No, that's not actually what he said. What he said was he really enjoyed it initially, But as it went on, and he kind of began to discover, it's like, wow, like this is the exact same thing I've done before, but just with different window dressing. Yeah. By the time he got to the end, it had soured a bit for him, and predominantly he was complaining about the fact that it was very repetitive, and that also there's some game mechanic things with like loot drops and stuff like that that he was really not crazy about. That he feels like that needs to be tweaked, and but he had good things to say about it as far as its its worthiness as a shooter. Graphically, it's very it's very pretty to look at. It's a very nice looking game, etc. But I do think that the combination of the hype of the game as well as the pedigree of Bungie is where a lot of the I guess I would say a lot of the generosity is coming from in terms of how people are receiving the game. And I'm not trying to, like, I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying. Like, Bungie made Halo, and therefore the game industry is going to bend over backwards to say that this game is good because nobody, wants to. Nobody wants to speak ill of Halo or Bungie. Halo. Like, you're just not allowed to. You're not allowed to think that that those things aren't good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that I agree with what Daniel. I think that people like the idea of this game. I think that people are very enthusiastic for Bungie as a company to move beyond Halo and do something really big and impressive, and without really with no malicious intent whatsoever. I think that people really are giving Bungie the benefit of the doubt, and maybe Benji too, I don't know. And I think that that rightfully so, they also understand that Destiny the game is not only what is being played right now, that there is going to be a bigger story, a bigger lineage going on with this game, and where it is right now and where it could be in a year and 2 and 4 years may be very different. So I think people are also kind of allowing for that idea that this is going to be a game that evolves. So I guess that's kind of how I feel. I think that a lot of it was marketing.
And don't forget that was part of the marketing. So
yes,
it's
absolutely
right. It's in our minds that this isn't like the game. Like, this isn't like this. I think people would be a lot harder on it if like the fact that people aren't there aren't those big takeaways. Like, you don't hear people talking about in the same way that you talk about Halo, you think, oh, a Spartan, and there's like definitive things like the Warthog, and I mean, there's vehicles and there's different classes and stuff, but Destiny doesn't seem, at this point anyway, to have those major impact takeaways that you're like, these things are what make Destiny great. It's more like these things remind me of a lot of other great things that I've played, and it's packaged, and they promise a hell of a lot over the next 10 years, so let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly feel like the way the game has kind of turned out was exactly the way I felt about it when I first kind of saw it, and even when I first sort of played it. It's like, did it succeed on its marketing? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah. Like, I'll be honest with you, and I don't think anybody doubts that. Like, it was marketed very well. They played up on essentially the fact that, like, this is the next game from the people that brought you Halo, and if you want to be in on the ground level of the game for the next 10 years, you need to be in here. The thing is, the second part of it is a bona fide blockbuster on its own merits. I do not think so at all. Like, I think if anything, you look at the ratings of it, the scores and the different people that are talking about it, and I think if anything, you have to say that those people are really giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So I mean, they're not good. They're not especially good. Like, I think its average Metacritic rating right now is like 70. Yeah, which is significantly lower than any of their other titles. Any of the other
77. Sorry.
Yeah, but still significantly lower than most of their other titles. And that is when I'm saying I think that's people still giving them the benefit of the doubt. And they're still giving it, I think, a reasonably high score. The thing with the game just sort of seems to be that just trust us.
Right.
Buy our game and trust us that in the end you'll feel like you'll be happy with this. Yeah. And the fact that people have already maxed out the soft level cap, like it was supposed to be like 20, people are already at like level 30, like what, a week on, or well, I mean, at this point when you're hearing this, it's a little further down the road, but still, at this point, people have beat significant chunks of the game. They're talking about how, like, every rating or every review of the game you hear about, it's basically people kind of, I don't know. I almost feel like sort of making excuses for it. You know, like,
Right.
yeah, you know, it's. I don't know that I really like it, but I mean, I love playing it. You know, it's sort of like an early Top Gear review from Jeremy Clarkson. Like, this is the worst fucking car ever.
But
oh, so you hate
it.
it? No, it's great. Everyone should buy one. Like, it's one of those, you know, contrarian type of things where. Yeah, there is some sort of like, you know, yes, I do like the mechanics of the of certain parts of the game, but like I really feel like people are making themselves want to believe, you know, that it's better, which I don't think that it is right now. Will it be over its 10-year span? I got to be honest. I feel like with some of those things they're already struggling on now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're not even a month down the road. Like, I really feel like the people that are saying, like, well, you got to understand stuff, you know, this is supposed to be the game for yada, yada, yada. Well, yeah, but we were supposed to have a game that would at least last us for a couple of months before the next sort of, you know, DLC or the next sort of, you know, events happen. And people are already, I feel like, kind of cooling on it. Like, the last game
even
that I felt
faster than Titanfall.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, Titanfall was the last game that I remember there was so much hype for.
Yeah.
And I'm totally there. Like, that first 2 weeks that I played the game, I could not play it enough.
Yeah.
And then literally I was done with it, you know? And this has seemed to be even more so. But yet Titanfall, I feel like, is like, hey, this is our game for like this year, you know, and then we'll have another thing out, or, you know, maybe for the next year and a half or whatever, not 10 years going, you know. And I don't know. I'm actually I'm not really surprised personally, because just like I really everything the way people is describing the game now feels exactly like what I felt like it was going into it. But I don't know. I am a little surprised that it really did end up sort of being that way, and that they haven't. I don't know. Like, I really expected like something like this first event that, you know, the first raid that, you know, people were doing, like, to be a bigger thing. Like, maybe that turned people's, you know, minds around on it. Like, oh, hey, here they go. They're finally giving us some story elements. Hey, they're finally, now we see it. And it's really not. It's just a mission in a game, and you're going to see more of them in the next 10 years, I guess, if it lasts that long. But anyway. Yeah. You know, good question. I think Destiny is definitely on the tips of a lot of people's tongues right now.
Yeah.
Just not at the tips of their fingers. So, anyway, that is going to do it for this Tuesday edition of Ye Old Epic Battlecry. So, thanks, as we mentioned yesterday, if you got a question, good fucking luck getting it answered, because we're not going to be here answering questions for you anymore. I'm just kidding. In all seriousness, we really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll have another great question tomorrow on Wednesday, the old hump day, last hump day of the old Epic Battlecry. So for Brent and Daniel, I'm your host, Tony Grice. Remember, cry havoc, and start looking for another game over the next 10 years. I feel like you're going to need it.